Hey everyone! Hi! First, welcome to my channel if you don't know who I am.
My name is Johan, I'm from France, and I'm a guitar player, or at least I'm trying to be.
So, today I wanted to talk about what I think could be one of the best affordable strats out there. I'm talking about $150, euros, pounds, wherever you are, second hand, way cheaper if you're lucky. I actually just saw one this morning on sale here in France for 130. So that's good price. Of course, this is just my opinion, my own opinion based on my own experience as a player. And there's no such thing as the best strat anyway, I believe, or the best affordable strat. Especially second hand, you can find absolute bargains. I just really like that guitar, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's looking to buy a Strat on a budget, basically. And because these Strats rock, for me anyway, I just want to share that with you. So what would be my choice as the best affordable Strats out there for that price range? Well, if you already know me, you already guessed it. I love the Vintage Modified Strats from Squier. If you're not familiar with the Vintage Modified series, it may be confusing maybe because I often get messages like, oh, how old is it? Or how did you modify it? Is it made in Japan? Because vintage modified. Yet, the Squier Vintage Modified series was first introduced in 2003. They sadly discontinued this last year, in 2019. So the Vintage Modified series was just under the Classic Vibe series in terms of price tags. Basically, from low-hand to high-hand, you had the Bullet series as Squier's bottom line, then the Affinity series, then the Standard series, then the Vintage Modified series, and then the Classic Vibe series as Squier's high-hand stuff, which are still Squier most popular guitars, I believe. I guess recently the Contemporary series, oh god, that's hard to say in English. The Contemporary series meant to replace the Vintage Modified series. Different vibe for sure, but same kind of price tags. So during 15 years, Squier developed the Vintage Modified series quite a lot actually, with some very interesting stuff. Let's take a look. You had the Telecaster Custom, you had the Custom 2, you had the SH, the SSH in a Nashville style, the Deluxe, the Thin Line, the Special, the 72 Thin Line, the Cabronita with or without Bixby, the Jazzmaster, the Jazzmaster Special, the Jazzmaster Baritone, Jaguars, Jagmaster, let's be crazy, Mustang, the well-known Squier 51, not this one, that one, and of course Stratocasters. So you had the 3 single coil kind of classic configuration, or with a humbucker in bridge position. There was a 70s model as well, just all exactly the same guitar but with black plastics. And finally the epic Surf Strats with 3 lipstick pickups, definitely a fun looking one. Anyway, today I'm mainly gonna focus on the 3 single coil Strats, you know, classic Stratocaster vibe configuration and all that. So here's some playing for you to enjoy, hopefully. So this one is actually my favorite guitar I ever got to own so far. So a bit of storytelling. About 10 years ago I discovered internet actually, and then I discovered John Mayer. A huge revelation to me. It introduced me to a new genre of music basically that I didn't know of, and introduced me to guys like Philip Sayce, Henrik Freischlader, Michael Lando. It introduced me to single coil guitars, basically. Me, the 18 years old who only ever played humbuckers. I needed to switch. I needed a Strat. So I sold my guitar back then, and I couldn't find any reasonably priced Stratocaster on the used market near me, for weeks. So I ended up buying a used relict Classic Vibe 50 Telecaster from Squier. Awesome guitar. It was really fantastic. I loved it, but after a year or so, the neck was just too slim for me, I still wanted a Strat anyway. I needed that sound. Sold the Classic Vibe, then bought a used Blade Texas Standard Pro made in Japan from the late 90s. Was beautiful guitar, loaded with Kinman pickups. Was an amazing deal on paper, only on paper. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't play it. It felt wrong. It sounded wrong to me. I don't know what was wrong with me. Yeah, I didn't like it at all. So here's me, after a few months, with the first Strat experience that was a nightmare to me, basically. To the point I would just tell myself,
it's not a guitar for you,
So again, here we are selling the guitar and desperately trying to find my gem out there. Luckily, I did, because I ended up buying that one. Was like brand new, came with a crappy Line 6 mini Spider amp, I think. Lots of accessories, a gig bag and everything, for €100. Honestly, at first I was like, yeah, I'm going to pick that one because I have no guitar again. And yeah, that's just something to keep me busy for a few months till a real good Stratocaster shows up on sale, you know. Yet 7 years later, here I am, and here she is. Yeah, that's a she, by the way. I can honestly say that guitar made me grow so much as a player, and I've been totally fine owning it and using it as my main guitar for the past 7 years. So I did really kid myself when I got it. Crazy story when I think about it now. But again, I really didn't think I would keep it, so I was just having fun with it, you know. So this is a 2012 model, and you'll see later there has been some very minor changes depending on the year. So anyway, let's talk about the specs a little bit. So it's a basswood body, maple neck with rosewood fretboard, 9.5-inch radius, 21 medium jumbo frets, a lovely vintage tinted neck, and the 70s style headstock that I love so much. Crescent type tuners, vintage style tremolo with Fender stamped saddles, and 3 Duncan designed pickups. Neck position the SC101N, SC101M for middle position. God, that's hard to say in English. And the SC101B for the bridge position. Yeah, even though I removed the branding on the pickup covers on mine. So this is a vintage blonde finish. Definitely has some vintage looking vibe to it, which is cool if you like that, you know. The neck profile is a C-shape, pretty much standard, I would say. It's not too thin, it's not too chunky either, yet ideally I would have loved to have it a little chunkier. So let's talk about the pickups for a sec. I'm honestly loving these pickups. I never felt like swapping them, you know? So I recently got a set of these, which are super cheap to buy. So this is what Seymour can say about this. The SC101 single coils represents a tonal cross between the SSL2 vintage flats and the SSL6 custom flat models. They are Alnico 5, of course. Whether they're actually designed by Seymour Duncan or it's just a marketing stuff, honestly I don't know, and I couldn't care less. All that matters is that they're quality pickups to me. They feel rich, slightly higher output than vintage style pickups maybe, but still very stratty sounding and feeling under the fingers, you know. They just work really well, and for a guitar in that price range, I feel like that's really great value for money. They're not harsh by any means, they're quite balanced, I would say, still retaining that classic Strat vintage vibe character, you know, we all love. So yeah, I'm sure there are much better pickups out there, that's for sure, but also much more expensive, you know. So for a guitar in that price range, honestly, I wouldn't mind swapping the pickups unless you're looking for a very specific tone. So the tuners works very well, I should say, stays in tune nicely. I cannot tell you about the trem system through because I never use the arm. But I mean, if you set it up properly, there shouldn't be any major issue, I suppose. Yeah, so it's a very reliable guitar. It follows me everywhere, no matter if I do a 14 hours trip driving, no matter if it lives in a tent with me for 3 months. Yep, fruit picking. And so exposed to humidity, to cold weather, to warm weather, to very hot weather in the same day. Yeah, that one I've seen some country. But from my experience, I honestly can say it's a really well-made guitar for a price. Sadly, the frets on this one are incredibly worn out now, but you know, that's expected, I guess. It's been 7 years. I'm using it so much, so here's another vintage modified Strats from 2017 in 3-tone sunburst. If you can even see that, I'm not sure. So I'm not sure if you can see that right now on video, but this one has some flame on the top, which is very lovely. I must say I'm not a big fan of flame tops usually, but when it's not expected like that and it's very subtle, I think it's quite lovely. So is there any difference between the two? Actually, yes, but very minor differences. So this one doesn't have the same tint neck. It is tinted, obviously, but not as orange as the other one, you know? And it feels to me like the neck profile is a tiny bit smaller, but honestly, I'm not even sure at all. I think maybe it's more of a feel thing because of the gloss on the other one, because I've played it so much and everything. So I guess it's more of a feel thing because they really feel the same. So this one has only one string tree, when the white one has two, and yeah.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, the biggest difference between the two definitely is about the weight. This one is lighter. I would say even significantly lighter than the other one. Doesn't mean one is better than the other at all. They are definitely very similar. There has been a couple more differences for the year. You'll find some have the smaller headstock style, as well as die-cast tuners, so not Cluson style like this, but they basically all play and sound the same anyway. For those wondering, I had another one a few months ago for a few weeks. With the HSS configuration. It was a 2016 model, so exactly the same guitar, but with the HB102B humbucker in bridge position. The bridge pickup sounded quite awesome, and It was very well balanced with a single coil pickup, so definitely something to consider if you're naturally more attracted by higher gain tones or don't like a single coil in bridge position, you know. That happens. Weirdos. So it's my first ever product review, but I'll try to keep some kind of basic ratings for the next ones to come as well. Obviously, I won't be expecting the same from a $150 guitar than I would for a 15,000 guitar, you know. Anyway, I will rate these vintage modified strats based on how much they were sold brand new. So around $300, $350 maybe a little less. So here we go. Build quality, super well made, very solid, and the finish is excellent on the ones I got my hands on anyway. Playability, well, it plays great, it plays really well, like a Strat I would say, you know, like no more, no less. So I'd say a solid 9 out of 10. Hardware, so it stays in tune, looks really nice, might sound silly, but it does look really nice. And after 7 years of intense playing, it still does the job perfectly. However, remember I'm not using the tremolo arm, so it definitely helps with stability and everything. For all of these reasons, a 10 out of 10. Electronics, pickups, I would say 9 out of 10, a solid 9 out of 10. For the price, I really don't think you can do much better than that. Funkiness. So yeah, since it's the first one I'm doing, I'm gonna explain very quickly what does funkiness means. Funkiness is kind of for me how alive the instrument feels, you know, like if it's resonating well, if it's inspiring and everything, you know. The funkiness, I'm gonna say a solid 9 out of 10 because that's definitely funky enough to me anyway. So global rating, I'm gonna say 9 out of 10, not to say 10 out of 10. So if you can find one of these used for more or less $150, which seems to be the usual price range we see those on sale used, even $200, I would still highly recommend it. Hope you found this video interesting. If you have any question, feel free to ask in the comments below. Subscribe, smash the like button if you'd like, that would really help. And I'll see you soon for some more reviews, backing tracks, jams, maybe lessons, and all that stuff. So cheers everyone, thank you for watching this. Stay safe, please, have fun, and be funky.